Hello, my name is Jen. I'm an instructor with Youth Code Jam, and I'll be leading you through Lesson 2 of the Dunk Contest for Coyote Coding Camp, a project with Spurs Give. If you haven't completed Step 1, go ahead and go back to the Spurs Give website and look for the lesson and the lesson activity sheet, which will be available right here. So it will be under Week 1, Create. And there's an English and a Spanish activity sheet. You'll need to have Step 1 done first. If you've already done that, then you can go ahead and continue with this video. So the first thing we want to do for Lesson 2 is you're going to go to scratch.mit.edu, and you should have an account because, again, these lessons build on top of each other. So you need to have an account created, and you're going to sign in. And I'm already signed in on a different browser. So when you sign in, you're going to go to your account name here. So you can see my name's over here. And we're going to click on My Stuff. And then you're going to look for your project from last time. So I named mine Dunk Contest. I'm going to click on this. And you can see here that this is the kind of the landing page, the outside facing page. And you can see what we've done so far. So if I hit this green flag, that's what our coyote does so far. Today we're going to add some tricks to that. So go ahead and click on the See Inside button so that we get back to the code. And the first thing we're going to start coding is we're going to continue adding on to our coyote character. So make sure that the coyote here is active, which means it's highlighted in blue and the trash can's there. So if I click on the star over here, it's not showing right now, but it's highlighted now, or the character up here is highlighted. So we want the coyote active where we can see the blocks of code from Lesson 1. I'm just going to stop that. Alright, so now that we're all set up and ready to go, we're going to start with the first thing, which is to create a block. So we're going to create a block to make a front flip. To do that, let's come over here to the left side of the screen with all of our block palettes, and we're going to come down to this pink My Blocks and just tap that once, and then you can click this Make a Block. And like I said, we're going to do a front flip, so we're going to name it Front Flip so that we know exactly what it does. And once we type that in, we're just going to press OK. I'm going to drag this off. It won't hurt it if your code overlaps, but it's a little easier to work with when it doesn't. So what we've done here is this define front flip is we're going to build our own function. So all of these blocks kind of have back-end functions in them, which means that there's already code in the background that tells it how to do all of this. We're going to build our own function using the other blocks. So now that we have that created or defined, we're going to go to the control drawer and get an if-then statement. So this control drawer is this light orange palette, and we're going to look for if-then right here and attach it to our define block. And then we're going to do several things. So we need to set our condition now for the if-then statement, which is what's tested by the computer to see if it should do something or if it should skip to the next piece of code. So we're going to go to the operators drawer and get an equal comparison operator. So we want this one with the equal signs. And we're going to drop that in our if statement. Now this can be tricky. So you need to hover over that empty diamond there and just kind of wait for it to get this white outline. And once you see that white outline, your block is going to snap right in there. If you try and drop it in and it's not highlighted, you're most likely going to end up with your block off to the side or underneath. So you really want to wait for that white outline to appear, and then it's safe to go ahead and drop it in. And then we're going to change this 50 to the word yes. And I don't know why my code keeps defaulting to this, but I need to change C to yes. Alright. So we've got that worked out. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go get a variable block for dunking. So what we're going to test here is that if we are dunking, so if dunking equals yes, which means we've hit the space key and our coyote is flying towards the basketball hoop, then we're going to do something with that. So go to the variables drawer and get the dunking variable bubble right here and just drop it in the other side here in this empty white space. And that's what your if-then statement should look like. Now we're going to do the code for what happens if this statement is true. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to increase our score. So we're going to come over back into this variables drawer or palette here and drag this change dunking by 1 block into our if statement and use this drop down to change it to points because we're changing our score, so we're changing the points. And we're going to change that 1 to a 10. So each time we're going to increase our score by 10. The next thing we're going to do is give it a sound. So go to this sound drawer. It's kind of this magenta color block here. And then we're going to get this start sound. And right now it's set to coin and on my screen. It might be set to something different on yours. But we're just going to attach that to that change points block we just did. And then you're going to click this drop down and change it to low whoosh. So it's going to make a low whooshing sound when we go to do a front flip. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to change the rotation. So we want it to, if we're doing a flip, we want it to spin all around. So come to the blue motion drawer at the top of our palettes, and then scroll down till you get this set rotation style left right. And we're going to attach that to the start sound and use the drop down to change it to all around so that it rotates in a circle. All right, so we're still building inside that if-then block. We're going to go to the control drawer again and get a repeat block. Oops, sorry, control is orange. And we're going to get this repeat block, which is right here. So it says repeat 10. We're going to attach it to our rotation block, and we're going to change that 10 to a 12. And the next thing we're going to do is go to the motion drawer and get this turn clockwise 15 degrees block and insert that inside the repeat block and change that 15 to 30. So this set rotation block is going to let it rotate, and this repeat block is telling it to rotate in a circle. And if you know math, then you'll know that 30 times 12 is, I believe it's 360, but we're going to check that to make sure I'm right. Yes, 360, and 360 degrees is a full circle. So we're telling it to spin in a full circle. There's actually a few different ways you can do this math, and if you want to come back, you can play with that later. All right, so the last thing we're going to do in this block of code is reset our rotation to be left-right. So still in the motion drawer, scroll down to get another set rotation style and attach it to the bottom of the repeat block and just leave it as left-right. So we've finished building our front flip. Now we're going to use it in the program. So I'm building my functions down here. I'm going to come up here to do this next part. You guys can just build wherever you want. This makes sense to me. So the first thing we're going to do to add so we're moving on to step 3, which is adding the front flip to a key press. So we're going to use a key on the keyboard to make the front flip happen. So to do that, we want to go to the events drawer, this yellow one, and grab the when green flag clicked block and just drop it over here. And then we'll go to that control drawer and get a forever block. So whatever happens inside the forever block will last until something else ends it. Normally, as you might remember from step 1, this will happen as long as the program is running. So same here, whatever happens in here happens as long as the program is running. All right, and so inside there, we're going to add another if-then statement. So still in the control drawer, grab an if-then statement. And this time, our condition is going to be if the up arrow is pressed. So come over here to the sensing drawer and get the key space key press block. And we're just going to drop it inside that if-then statement. And then we're going to use this drop down to change it to up arrow. So when we hit the up arrow, we're going to do a front flip. And to make sure we actually do that front flip, we need to call our function. So come down here to My Blocks and get the front flip block and insert it inside that if statement. So now if we take a second and test our code, I'm going to hit the green flag button. I'm going to hit the space key and then the up arrow. So everything we just did works, and we're going to move on to the next step. So we did a front flip. Our next step is going to be making a back flip. It's going to be very similar to everything we just did, just a little bit is changing here and there. So in the My Blocks palette, go to the Make a Block button and name it back flip. And again, just drag this define block over here. And then we're going to go to the control drawer and get another if statement. And this time our condition is going to be the same. So if we want to save some time, you can do this cool trick where you hover over the block. So I'm going to put my cursor on the equal sign here, and I'm going to right click. If you're working on an iPad, just hold down with your finger on the block for a few seconds and you should be able to get this menu up, or another tablet. And you're going to hit duplicate. So duplicate is a big word for copy. So we're just copying that block, and then I'm going to drop it in there. So that's going to save me some time, and I'm actually going to do that for the rest of the blocks, or at least a few of them. So you can do that, or you can go back to the operator drawer and get an equals block, change the 50 to a yes, and then go to variables and get dunking. So you actually save coding time by learning these shortcuts, but we'll still demo a few. So let's get the this change. We're going to change the points by 10 again. So we're going to get a change dunking by 1, change dunking to points using the drop down, change 1 to 10, and then we're going to have another sound play. So we're going to go back to the sound palette and get a start sound block. And this time we're going to do a high whoosh. And then we're going to go to the motion drawer and get another set rotation style. And we're going to set it from left right to all around. So you can see this is pretty repetitive of what we did before. So this next part I'm just going to copy again. So I'm going to hover over the repeat block, and I'm going to duplicate that block. So you can see it duplicated everything after that block or inside of there. And I'm just going to insert it over here. The one change we have to make is we're going to make this counterclockwise. So there's a couple ways to do that, but the clearest way is that we're going to remove this block from inside the repeat block. And we're just going to go get the counterclockwise block. So that's the third one from the top in the motion drawer. It says turn counterclockwise 15 degrees. We're going to replace that in our repeat block, and again change 15 to 30. And everything else matches, so we're going to go and make, we're moving on to step 6, which is going to be add the key to make the backflip happen. So I'm going to move back to the top of my page, and again, so now we're adding, just like we did here, we're going to add that key to make the backflip happen. So go to the events drawer and get another when green flag clicked block. Go to control and get a forever block. And then in that same control drawer, get an if then block. Underneath control, click on the sensing circle, blue circle, and get another key space press block. Oops. So sometimes that'll happen. I didn't release it in the right spot and it disappeared somewhere. So there it goes. Use the drop down, and this time we want it to be the down arrow. We're going to use the down arrow to do a back flip. And then finally, for building our flips, we're going to go to My Blocks and get the back flip block. So now if I hit the green flag and hit the space key, that's my front flip. And then hit the space key again, and then I'll do the down key. And that's the back flip. So we have all that working, but there's still a little bit more we need to do. So the next thing we're going to do is choose our scorekeeper. To do this, click on the Spurs teammate, I think is what it is, the Spurs player icon here. So that becomes our active sprite, and there's no code here for us. So we're going to do a couple things on this one. The first thing we're going to do is give you a way to choose your player that you want, or your teammate. So you're going to come to the events drawer, And we want this when this sprite is clicked block. So what's going to happen is we're going to use this block and click on this picture to change the costumes. And that block is found under the looks palette. And it's right here. It just says next costume. So I don't even need to click the green flag for this to run. I can just come over here now and click that teammate sprite. And you can choose whoever you want to be your teammate here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 options, 4 or 5. Okay, and then we're going to have our teammates say the score after each time we make a dunk. So we're going to come back to the events drawer here, and we're going to grab a when I receive score block. So this might actually say message or something. So when I receive score, I'm going to drag this over. And we do want it set to score. So if yours is not set to score, use the drop down and make sure that you set it to score. This was created, I believe, in step 1. And then the next thing we're going to have them do is say the score. So we need a say block from the looks drawer. And we're going to get this say hello for 2 seconds block and attach it to the when I receive block. We're going to change hello to be awesome. Oh, sorry, I got ahead of myself. The first thing we're going to do is change 2 to 3.5 seconds. So we're going to give our teammate a little bit more time to say the message. And then the next thing we're going to do is go to the operators drawer and get a join block. So the reason we're using a join block instead of just typing in the phrase is because we're going to combine a text phrase or a string or half of a sentence, however you want to look at it, with one of our variable blocks. So that will combine them together and print what the actual score is. So we're going to get this join block that says join apple banana and insert it where it says hello. And where it says apple, we're going to write the phrase awesome, your score was, and I'm going to add a space there so that the number is not right at the S of was. And then you're going to come to the variables drawer and grab this points block here. So this will put the score out for us. Okay, so now if we try to run our program, we're going to hit the green flag, hit the space key, one of the arrows, so there we go. And that is it for lesson 2. I hope you guys are having fun learning this, and I hope to see you at our live huddles where we'll either work through this program together or help you with any problems you have. Join us next week for the adventure mode. So that's where you guys get to really add your own style to the projects. It's really fun. I hope to see you next week.